Hello, everybody. Michelle here from michellesmidheaven.com, and today I'm going to talk about one of the biggest ingresses of the year, Neptune in Aries. When Neptune moves into Aries, it will introduce new themes to our lives and to the world. But we have to understand this transit as a continuation of Neptune's transit through Pisces, because Neptune's agenda will continue, but will take on some new expressions as well. So, what's Neptune's agenda in general? We can find out who Neptune is by looking at the chart of the moment Neptune was discovered. It's Neptune's first appearance to us, so we can look at it as a birth chart. Neptune itself in the chart is on the same degree as Saturn, and Neptune definitely takes on some of the traditional significations of Saturn, such as mystical wisdom, but also possible deception, because traditionally Saturn was known as the god of feigned appearances. So Saturn's quality of illusion is absorbed by Neptune. But the main thing we look at with every chart is the first house, because that's the identity of a person, and in this case, a planet. This is a Cancer rising chart ruled by the moon and Scorpio in the fifth house, which already tells us a lot about the sensitivity and the watery intuition and instincts associated with Neptune. The moon is fallen in Scorpio, so we can also think of the moon being in a place of vulnerability. The moon is ruled by Mars, so there's something intrusive about Neptune, and that fits the way Neptunian themes deal with a lack of boundaries and the need to be cautious and a little more suspicious. Neptune itself is also in an exact sextile to Pluto. So again, as the moon in Scorpio also suggests, Neptune is a little more intense than we might give it credit for. And this is exactly what is so deceptive about Neptune. It's about the things that completely overpower us, but that at the same time we greatly underestimate. For example, we know that certain Neptune placements are often associated with intoxication. When you're intoxicated, your physical and mental control is diminished, right? But it still feels okay or even blissful, even though in some cases it's life-threatening. Or it can also have to do with falling in love, where you're completely captivated or spellbound by an ideal image of the person you're in love with. Neptune dissolves your boundaries and self-agency while confusing your emotions. And when we look at Venus in the Discovery chart, we see that she is fallen in Virgo, suggesting that those feelings of togetherness and Neptunian oneness are likely to fall apart. It's a reminder that there's no such thing as a perfection that Venus and Virgo desires. Venusian ideals cannot take root in the barren Virgoan soil. And the luminaries, the sun and the moon, who shed light on what's happening, are both fallen. Even Jupiter is in detriment and in the 12th house. So while picking up some interesting intuitions from beyond the veil, these planets cannot always see clearly the reality of what's going on here and now. So that can be pretty dangerous. So we can literally be intoxicated by Neptune, but also metaphorically through our beliefs and emotions or through the narrative that we're following. And the key to the solution is suggested once again by the chart ruler. The moon in Scorpio does well treating everything that's happening around her with a healthy dose of suspicion, and Mercury and Mars are going to help her and us pierce through the illusions and make sense of things by grounding us into the sensible Virgoan soil. In the fifth house, the moon is also pointing to another important signification of Neptune, which has to do with the imagination and creativity that we can tap into. And the moon herself is, of course, the goddess of dreams and the desire to give shape to these dreams, to express deeply felt ideas in a range of evocative ways and forms. I'll actually be getting much deeper into Neptune and all of the other planets in terms of the effect they have when transiting the birth chart. I'm giving a new two-part workshop, Mastering Transits, with examples, handouts, a step-by-step guide, and an interactive practice session. Why don't you join me? I'd love to see you in class. Sign up at michellesmidheaven.com. But let's stay focused on Neptune for now and see how the transit through Pisces played out. I recommend looking back to see where you were around April 2011 when Neptune ingressed into Pisces. What was this 14-year journey like for you? What kind of questions, confusion, and events did Neptune bring to the Pisces area of your chart? Maybe in general, on a more mundane level, we could say that at the end of this journey, a lot of people grew into a stronger spiritual life. And this has, of course, everything to do with Pisces' traditional ruler, Jupiter. As a guest in Jupiter's home, Neptune initially may have made it more difficult for Jupiter to keep a sense of order and spiritual contentment through Jupiter's inner faith. Jupiter's ability to make sound judgments and to convey his truth has proven difficult over the years. The establishment is associated with Jupiter, big institutions, large corporations, legacy media as well. Think of Jupiter's unifying convictions being expanded, broadcasted to the larger public or to the world. Well, on at least one of several levels, Neptune made Jupiter's unifying power fall apart. Many people who firmly trusted and believed the establishment now look back on it as a Neptunian illusion, while others have lost their belief in their fellow humans, and so on. Neptune dissolved many of our Jupiterian certainties, and people tried to adjust as best they could amidst the confusion, while Jupiter lashed back, overcompensating sometimes for the lack of clarity, and consequently, many institutions have become more dogmatic, which is a shadow side of Jupiter. So that's one theme I think that played out as Neptune interacted with Jupiter. But that's definitely not all there's to it. And one thing we can ask ourselves is, where are we at the end of Neptune's journey through Pisces? So many Jupiterian certainties that were based on trust have disintegrated. And Neptune's visit has also forced us in a way to look more deeply into all of the things and people that we truly can trust, into the things that really deserve our Jupiterian faith. And this introspection has really strengthened a lot of people during this time. It has strengthened their spiritual life. If it has sometimes felt as if your external world was falling apart, Jupiter can also take us on an inner journey where we can rediscover real unity and oneness. Now Neptune is moving on to Aries, entering Mars's fire sign on March 30th. While a sign ingress may immediately introduce new themes, I find there's also a more gradual continuation of prominent themes. The past has an impact on the future, so we're going to transfer collective beliefs, ideals, and ideologies in Pisces to Aries, which will usher in pragmatism, which says that the real truth or meaning is to be found in directly observable, practical applications. Mars is the god of action. So rather than contemplating truth and justice, Mars wants to implement ideas in a practical way to make an impact. Mars's actions need to produce effects and present easy solutions to problems. And Mars often chooses the shortest route to change, which usually involves some kind of crisis. But here's the thing. As we know, Neptune, as a guest in another planet's house, is going to bring some disruption and confusion to the host. Neptune confused Jupiter's beliefs in Pisces, so it's likely that Neptune is going to confuse martial activities in Aries. I'm thinking of science because Mars is so often involved with science, technology, and conjecture because he wants to find solutions as quickly as possible and take action. Whatever works is fine for Mars. So we're moving from imagination and ideas to new ways of manipulating matter, of impacting the physical world. A more classic feature of Mars is, of course, his role as the god of war, and we can expect the emergence of new weaponry, as was the case during the American Civil War, which marked the previous time when Neptune was in Aries. Among other things, the first battles between iron-plated ships took place. Mars, Neptune, iron ships. But the Mars-Neptune combination also brings to mind the possibility of an invisible war that can disrupt societies without direct confrontation. Neptune is associated with the hidden, intangible, and deceptive. For example, cyber warfare takes place in the digital ether, often outside the view of the general public, making it mysterious and elusive, much like Neptune's fog. Attacks could happen on a massive scale, targeting infrastructure, which provide us with all sorts of tools we need, and of course, also public opinion, as we have seen with Neptune and Pisces. Manipulating virtual realities, ideological domination, and certainly Neptunian crusades in the broadest sense of the word. The illusionary nature of Neptune can make it hard to discern who is fighting who and for what cause. It's always about conquering new terrain, but with Neptune, it's going to be on a grand collective scale, and nowadays we can think global scale. And while one thing is conquered, there will be things that will fall apart, and more specifically, is probably going to have to do with any type of tools that we use to manage our day-to-day practical stuff and resources that we need, energy, power. It's a fire sign, right? The tools we need to move forward and solve practical issues. So we can expect some disruptions there, or familiar tools and technology rapidly becoming obsolete. The illusion of efficiency is also very Mars-Neptune. So this is something we could hear when new technology will be introduced. Mars is usually very efficient when it comes to removing obstacles, but again, Neptune is throwing some nebulous confusion into Mars's realm, and maybe this could also erode Mars's plans and competitive nature. Imagine people would no longer be willing to fight in wars. Maybe Neptune will dissolve Mars's hunger to conquer new terrain with a veil of patience and understanding and compassion. And of course, our personal lives will be going through some significant changes as well. And it is usually around the ingress time on March 30th and the days around the ingress time of Neptune and Aries that we will be noticing some clues here and there of what this 13-year-long transit will be all about. Neptune tends to come in like a fog, and we might not see what's going on first. It's not a very practical planet, not really attuned to the physical world. And in fact, Neptune often makes things and sometimes people disappear from our life as a reminder of the impermanence and transience of this physical realm. Any changes that come into your life through Neptune can be seen as a source of inspiration. You might discover you're more open to extrasensory experiences or otherworldly dreams. Processing and channeling Neptunian influences through any form of creativity is a positive way to deal with this transit. In Mars' sign, we might be able to focus more on our intuition and transcendental experiences. We need to keep in mind that Mars has a lot of transformative power. It's about taking charge of our spiritual practice, to use this Neptunian sensitivity as a martial tool that can fuel our imagination in a very enriching way. It's okay to dream and make that dream a reality. That's what Neptune and Mars' sign is saying. Just as long you don't take everything too seriously. Remember, the outcome follows our decisions. Given the circumstances, what do you choose to do? How do you choose to respond? This is something you do have control over in your life. Choose your battles wisely. And don't fight battles that don't matter to you. So that seems more or less the path to take. And we really need to choose wisely because Saturn will be joining Neptune really soon. And when Saturn is knocking on our door, it's always to discuss the consequences of our actions. And I'm sure I'll talk or write about this more in the coming weeks. Go to my website, michellesmidheaven.com, to subscribe to my Substack publication and to sign up for my new workshop, where you will learn how to make sense of the transits and what they mean for you. My schedule is open for readings if you're looking for a more personal approach. Please like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you. Thank you. Until next time.